Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another reaction. Today we have another one from Final Fantasy XIV, requested by Patreon Crosslancer, who hasn't really posted anything in a while. So this was like, oh, he must really want me to listen to this song. So this is Tuliyollal Day Theme. I don't play Final Fantasy, so I don't know what this is going to sound like, but I have heard a few songs from the Dawntrail side of Final Fantasy XIV, so I'm not sure if it'll sound similar, but I guess we'll have to figure out, won't we? Let's go. Oh my goodness gracious. All right. Ooh. Oh, we're doing big band swing. Yeah, we are. Hell yeah. All right. I already love this. What an energy to come in on. Is this how, like, you're introduced to this area? What an explosive, inviting welcome. I don't want to talk over these solos. They're so fun. Don't mind me just air drumming over here. I love this groove. It's one of the, like, all-time drum grooves, especially for jazz, for obvious reasons. Every person who's ever played jazz drums knows that groove on the floor tom. Ooh. Open it with the open hi-hat. All right. Still air drumming. I'm gonna be doing that the whole time. Just slightly off camera. Just. Ooh, get it. Got to appreciate the cross-stick action. Bit of a break. Ooh, oh, shift of rhythm, okay. Ooh. Okay, we're kind of going club jazz here. A smooth transition from swing to, like, almost like a clubby, slightly Latin, just a little bit, mostly in the rhythm for this. This is almost making me want to try playing Final Fantasy XIV. Heard lots of great music from the Dawntrail stuff, but man, I want to live here. Does this just play here all the time, always? Like over loudspeakers? Going a little island on this now. Maybe it wasn't Latin I was feeling. Maybe I was feeling like a more Caribbean kind of influence there. You could argue they're pretty similar, but, like, you get into semantics at that point. Ooh, is that the end? Nice, tasteful sizzle out. Really love that. All right, so if it wasn't clear, I love this track. I've said it a few times. I liked it right at the beginning, and I love what it does. I am a huge jazz person. It's one of my roots as a drummer and as a musician as a whole, and I love what this brings to the table right off the bat, just slamming you in the face with that sing, sing, sing style drum beat. For those who don't know what that is, Sing, Sing, Sing is a very popular jazz piece. You've probably heard it. It's one of those, like, you've heard it somewhere at least once kind of songs, but that rhythm is called the Sing 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 beat to most people because that's the song that popularized it. And even though it's just as simple as playing a swing rhythm on a floor tom and just kind of keeping that going, it has this thunderous presence by just being played on the floor tom that made it so iconic. And so a bunch of other songs utilize it to this day. I even know a song from Zombieland Saga that utilizes that. It's one of my favorite ones, and almost exclusively because of the big band energy it brings, and starting with that really high energy, it's just a great way to bring in the listener right off the bat. It lets you know that this is no nonsense, fun times, but like we mean business at the same time. The energy behind that is just absolutely palpable. And the second you start wailing on that floor tom and you start doing that groove, the entire audience is immediately drawn to you as the drummer, and they feel immediately brought into that rhythm, and everything else just kind of blossoms around it. It's absolutely gorgeous, and the power behind something so simple as playing a swing beat on a floor tom has the potential to just let everything around it just shine so brightly. Talking a little bit more technical, this song I think sits in the A minor area when it comes to like the theory of the music itself, the key and everything. I think this largely just kind of bounces between A minor and E most times, and a lot of jazz is like that. It'll just kind of bounce between two chords, and that's most of it. Obviously there are changes in there, and the solos around will kind of borrow from other places. There's just a lot of chromatic room to mess around with, so you get the freedom as a musician to kind of play whatever you want within that specific key's friend group, so to speak, and whatever parallels are around it. There's just so much room. Jazz is a lot of fun because it's like 80% just wailing on solos and just going to town and free-forming it just a little bit, and you're just having a good time. That's why it's so fun to play. A more technical thing on the drum side is that when we were listening to this song and I noticed it switched to that open hi-hat, it didn't also switch to just an open hi-hat, it also switched which beat it was putting the accent on. That kind of like that rhythm is a very standard thing for jazz drums. It is the swing standard. It is the swing groove. And when they were playing that groove, they were playing it on the downbeat, which is pretty standard for that groove just because it's meant to root everything else around you. It's meant to keep the general rhythm and pace. But then they changed it to an upbeat with that hi-hat rise. Like they went from just using the hi-hat as like a chick pattern, just kind of keeping the foot going and, you know, kind of rooting everything else around the drum kit to it. And then they utilized that risen hi-hat as an upbeat to kind of bring everything back up. It's the reason it's called an upbeat. It's used a lot for dancey type of songs, and those high energy songs that you hear on the radio that make you want to dance most often are utilizing the exact same principle of the upbeat. But then later in the song, of course, kind of slowing everything down, and you get to this different style of jazz and everything gets a little bit more time to breathe. And they put a lot of like reverb on the solos in that section as well. They moved away from that big band energy and kind of went to this more intimate space where they were all able to play their parts a little bit more carefully, and there was a lot less energy behind it, but it allowed you to feel like the whole situation that you were listening to is moving. There's an organic sentiment to that. Like you had all this energy when you first showed up and you're really excited and you're visiting everything, and then it just kind of vibes out a little bit like, hey, maybe the sun's starting to go down, maybe the nightlife is going to start to creep itself in, and you get this kind of section that feels like dusk in a way, like everything's settling and there's less energy, but there's still the good vibes there. And that's why I was getting that like island energy a little bit. And of course, the whole design of all the shots they were showing me gave me the obvious descriptor of what this place looks and feels like, and that very much fits. All in all, it just kind of helped bring you back down after all that energy was spent elsewhere. You're like, okay, time for a little bit more like chill, time to relax, and just kind of stopping the original song in order to start this completely different feel is the only way to do that. When you have a song that is so energetic to start, you can't just naturally scale that back. You kind of have to create a separate movement to the same song in order to make that happen. And it's pretty uncommon that they make that one specific song instead of just making it a separate track all on its own that would then be like just cross-faded into the next one. So I think that that's an extra little detail that the game developers added that's just really nice here, is that is all one track instead of making it a separate dusk track or making that even part of the night track, which honestly I could see this having a relationship with whatever the night version of this theme is, and starting in kind of the same energy and then evolving to something else a little bit darker shortly after, just so you have that movement still happening between the different times of day. But I kind of like that they didn't have to do that and they just kind of left it in here and let it be its own movement within the daytime, because it still is daytime. It's not quite night yet, so make it a daytime theme. But anyway, I think that's about all I've got to say on this one. So thank you all so very much for watching. Thank you, Crosslancer, for throwing this one at me. I love this big band sound, and I don't know if Crosslancer knows how much I love it, but I love that he gave it to me because I love it. But to stop myself from going on another rambling about how much I enjoy it, I'm stopping here. Thank you all so very much for watching. If you have something you want me to get to, request it down below in the comments and I'll do my best as always to get to it. And otherwise, if you just like this video and you want to follow me and support me for more in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!